Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is you're 100% spot on that. It's a multiple uh, group. I mean, there's a bunch of guys, with Brock and Shane and James. They can do multiple things, and then you add Sam into the mix, and there's some talent there that we can work with. So it's a neat group of guys.
You have a unique perspective having played the position, so you know the challenges that rookie faces learning one of the more complex positions on the field. So what do you do to shorten the learning curve for Sam to make sure you can contribute early?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just try to put them in as many positions as possible. That includes in the classroom, showing them film, what can go on, and then to be honest, it's really all about getting out here, getting on the field, and feeling the speed of the game, and just learning on the field and on the grass. That's the best way to go about it. Throw them out there, feet to the fire, and let's go learn.
You guys happy with that progression?
It's been really good. Yeah, it's been really good. That's one of the things you don't know when you draft a young kid. What are the instincts like when you get them on the grass? And I think we've all been pleasantly surprised with what we've seen with Sam so far.
So I was going to ask you, you've had other rookies, high draft picks at that position before. So is Sam where he needs to be? Is he doing something that's exceptionally ahead of the curve?
No, he's right where he needs to be. He's doing a good job every day, coming and trying to implement the things that we're teaching within the game planning scheme, and so he's right where he needs to be.
Curious working with Ben Johnson. He's a guy that really likes to collaborate and kind of pick the brains of his assistant coaches. You work for two really good offensive minds in Bruce Arians and Cliff Kingsbury. How nice has it been to be able to take some of those ideas that you learned working with those schemes and bring some of that best stuff here?
Yeah, Ben's been phenomenal. He's fun to watch work. I tell you that. He does a great job of explaining things with the guys. He does a great job of installing. There's no gray area with what we're doing. It's been really, really good, and it's been neat for me to watch him do it. So I'm using the same verbiage and the same terminology when I'm teaching my guys.
What you see from James and how he's been, and you feel like his confidence is 100% back in that knee, and he's just back to playing football.
In the spring we talked about that, right? We talked about 2 years outside of the ACL and kind of wanting him to kind of grow in the position, and I think we've seen that. Here's what I love about James. We come out here every day, and I have things for him to focus on and work on, and they show up when we get into practice. He works his tail off to try to give me what I want to see out of him on a day-to-day basis, and he's getting better. Kid's got a bunch of talent, man, and I'm excited to see him get the pads on, and let's get physical with some guys.
We saw at the end of last year his ability to run after the catch makes guys miss. Is that explosiveness from him something maybe that fans don't really recognize?
Yeah.
That's part of his game.
He's got more of that wiggle than people realize, I think. A former wide receiver. So yeah, there's no doubt about that.
How was the health-wise? He wasn't out here last week.
I think he's good. Yep.
How's earning trust from the quarterback position important for Sam early on? Looks like guys in critical situations, third downs, red zone stuff, and really look for him. He's made some plays. Important is that early on to build that trust with the quarterback?
Yeah, and I think that comes with everything we do. The routes on air, all the individual stuff that we do. And just Sam putting his best foot forward every single day. And obviously he's come out here and made some plays and done a good job. He just needs to continue to do that and continue to work, and he will.
Dan likes to call this time of year pajama party. How much do you really know about your guys without seeing the pads, and I guess how much you're looking forward to that opportunity again?
Yeah, I really believe in that too. I think football is not played in shorts and t-shirts. So it's going to be fun to see how far we can continue to grow and develop once we get those pads on and it's real football time.
Blocking is obviously very important to you as a player, as a coach. What do you do to work on blocking at this time of year, or is that really something that's tough to emulate until you've got the pads on?
Yeah, really we're just working on the fundamentals, and they hear me over and over talk about the things that I want to see show up on tape. Even though we're not hitting in pads, we can still use some of the fundamentals that we want to do. Feet in the ground, throwing the hands, all that little stuff, and that's the details of it. That's what's showing up from my guys, and they've done a good job of kind of, putting it on tape what I want to see.
Is that part of you that's like, hey, don't forget about Brock and Shane, what those guys did last year?
Oh, no doubt. They're all in the mix, and they've all done a hell of a job. Yep.
Shane is a guy that kind of has had to fight for everything he's gotten to this point. And then last year, it looked like he finally got a taste of playing a lot, having some success. How much did that mean to him, and just his comfort level that you see from him this year?
Yeah, no, Shane's a real detailed guy, and he loves the game. He's always out here working. He's one of those first in, last out type of guys, and you see that on the field, right? He's as detailed as they come. He's a guy that I trust. I trust him to put him in any situation because he's going to know what to do. He's going to know how to do it. I got a lot of respect for him.
So you guys can get creative with and kind of move around the field a little bit?
I think, all these guys, like we were saying, they're a multiple group who we can do a lot of different things with each and every one of them, which is cool.
I think we saw you guys throw a pass or two the other day. Whose arm strength impressed you the most?
Oh, I'm gonna chalk that one up to we need some work on it. I didn't see anyone that impressed me.
A lot of guys have been talking about Sam, obviously turning heads, but Jameer mentioned the other day he's a really funny guy too. What's his personality like?
Yeah, he's lighthearted, quirky. Always has a smile on his face. Always willing to come and work. He's a joy to be around.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Yep. Appreciate you guys.
We did not see Nate last year because of just the timing you acquired him.
Right.
We have got a chance to see him, and it seems like he's got some really good things for him.
He has gotten better as the spring has gone on. He's made some very good throws, very good decisions with the ball, and that's the thing I've been most pleased with Nate is just the growth, even in just this offseason. He's a smart kid. He's a hard worker. He knows our system, and he's done very well for us.
How tough is it for a quarterback to kind of get dropped in right before the season starts and to be ready? I mean, I imagine just the year of having the scheme and the repetition of the practice is really hard.
A year, it makes all the difference in the world, and I'd say the same thing for Jared. Another year in the system, but it was a tough situation for him. He worked really hard when we got him last year. Put a lot of time in, had to put a lot of extra time in, obviously, because he was a play away from having to go in there. But that's his greatest quality is he's just a really intelligent quarterback.
Mark, a guy who
What's
has
your biggest challenge for Jared this year? I mean,
I'm sorry?
What would you say, like, your biggest challenge for Jared to get better, this year? I mean, you're coming off the season last year, you're on top of it.
Yeah, consistency. What he did well with last year was his decision making. In the that stretch that we made, he was just taking care of the ball, being smart with the football. So continuing that, that's at the top of the list, and I think he'll do that.
a guy who hasn't had a year. Talking about Nate is Hendon, not yet, but we see him out here working. We saw him throwing last week. Just want to get your first impressions of him and the work ethic that he has.
He's a great work ethic. If he didn't, he wouldn't be here. He's a smart player. He's put the time in. Obviously, he's limited right now. Most important is him getting strong and healthy. But I'm really pleased with them as far as the meetings are concerned. We throw a bunch of questions at those rookies and try to put them in a tough spot, and he always does a very good job. And it's very, very clear that he's putting the time in, which is really, it's the mental side of it is really all he can do right now as far as football is concerned. But he's done well.
Yeah, I was going to ask, maybe you can explain that a little bit more, how you can gauge his development since he's not.
It's really hard. There's some guys that do very well in the classroom, but yet it doesn't translate on the field. We don't expect him to be that at all because we've seen him playing college at a very high level. We can't wait to get him on the field, but it's right now he's doing everything that we're asking him to do, and he's doing it quite well.
Mark, how is Nate in the support role for Jared? Obviously, the backup quarterback, one of his main jobs is helping the starter get ready for the week. We see him out here performing, but last year behind the scenes in the classroom, how good was he helping Jared?
He was perfect. He was perfect. I talked about the preparation and being ready to go if called upon, the time that he put in. He was great leading up to our games as far as working with Jared and watching tape together. And then on game day, he was excellent. And that's very important for a starter to have a resource on on the sidelines, in the meeting room, a backup guy that really just wants to help Jared be the best that he can be. That's not always the case in quarterback rooms, but in our room, it makes all the difference in the world. And I think if you ask Jared, he'd tell you the same thing, how much he leaned on Nate over the course of the season. I think it really helped our quarterback.
How would he stay mentally in the game? You were talking about being a resource. How would he stay mentally in the game for 65 plays or whatever it is?
Well, how Nate would stay mentally ready. He's obviously watching the game, and we've got those. I guess what are they? iPads? What are they called? What are they? Surfaces. Sorry, I apologize. I can get in trouble for that. I imagine the surfaces. We're looking at all the series. No, you can't say Apple. I just said Apple. Just staying in there, watching what the defense is doing, having the conversation after every series as to what their game plan is, and making the adjustments. And but for Jared, he's like another set of eyes on the sidelines, and just staying dialed in. And the great thing about Nate as well is that he really wants his opportunity. He wants to play. He's hungry to get out there and show what he can do. And that's the mindset a backup quarterback should have. You should have a guy that wants to get in there. Certainly not at the expense of Jared or the team. I think his opportunity will come at some point. But he's just done very well for us in a supporting role.
You like where you're at from a backup quarterback?
I love where we're at. I absolutely love where we're at. Like all the guys, I love my room.
For being a professional, yourself as well, is it a such thing as building off, like how Jared finished last year? Can you build off?
Yeah, I think you can. You're talking about momentum. Can we carry what we did last year into this year? Yeah, you can. But at the same time, last year was last year, and this year's presents a new opportunity. You have to go and do it again. And whatever success you had last year, yes, you could build off of that. But this is going to be a new season, and Jared understands that. We're doing a few things differently with some different players, so there will be some challenges. As you guys have seen the schedule, there's a little challenge on week 1 that we've got our work cut out for us, but there's a lot of time before then. But our guys are working really hard, and I think the spring shows that we've got a good group of guys, and we're building something.
Have you shared any personal experiences like from your career as well? I mean, like just bouncing back, coming off that time.
I don't even think my players know I used to play, actually. I just, like I was teammates with Otto Graham or something like that. I know they I'll try to throw a story in there, but we changed the subject real quick because to them it was decades ago, and they're right, it was decades ago.
Mark, you talked about the stretch that Jared had of ball security, but the offense was still humming. I just wonder the line between being conservative or careful and then making good decisions, which is what you alluded to. If you can't, I would imagine in being a quarterback, you can't be too conservative, worrying about turning the ball over or something.
No, that's a great point, and when the opportunities to be aggressive present themselves, you have to take advantage of them. And the beauty of our quarterback is he has the ability, the arm talent, the experience, really to know when to pull the trigger and to be aggressive. But at the same time, understanding that, a check down is a pretty good thing. And I think as the season progressed last year, we saw that. Not pushing the ball so far down the field and being too aggressive where it could really hurt your team. Just going through your progression and understanding that it's not always going to be there. But when it is there, you have to take advantage of it. And we've been working on those things this spring. And we've got some really good players. And I think Jared would tell you that the best thing that we have going for us is his supporting cast. And, of course, being in the system one more year.
So he's at 324 straight right now without a pick, which is pretty remarkable in itself. The NFL record is maybe 2 games away. Is that anything that sort of on his radar?
It better not be.
No.
It better not be. No, we're trying to win games. We're not trying to break NFL records.
But they go hand in hand, I guess, right? I mean, that's part of what you're talking
If you take care of the football as a quarterback, you're going to win football games, and that's it. And the statistics will prove that. Take care of the football. Whoever has the ball in their hands, if you do that, you're going to win football games. We're going to have a good defense. We've got a good supporting cast. I love our system. Good coaching staff. Our coordinator is amazing, and I can't say enough about him. If the quarterback takes care of the ball, we run the ball well, do all the things that we talk about doing, we will win some football games. but we have to go out there and do it.
His team made some upgrades in the secondary that are very noticeable. How valuable is that to Jared to just have to face
This spring was tougher than it was last spring. Might be the best way to put it. There's some really good players on that side of the ball, and that defense is only going to get better and better. With the new additions, it has been a challenge because it's tough to separate against those guys, and it's been a fun part of this spring going against guys that have a lot of experience and have a lot of talent.
That helps the offense though.
Oh gosh, it helps us so much, so much.
Yeah, Coach, you talk about your supporting cast. What do the two new running backs do for your offense and for Jared?
What do they do for him?
Yeah.
You know what? They just
Different styles that you've had before.
you know, there's quarterbacks' two best friends are a good defense and the ability to run the football. And we have some guys back there that can run the football. They complement each other very well, and we're looking forward to that. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about this year is seeing those guys in action and really taking our run game to the next level. Okay, all right, thank you.
So can we just start two new running backs? Just your early impressions on both Jameer and David. I know David hasn't been out here the last couple of weeks, but first impressions on those guys.
Good contrast, you know. Of course, two different types of skill sets. Really impressed with the way they've taken to the playbook. And I think that you know speaks volumes about the level of professionalism. You know, we knew that David would have that just with his history. And then now seeing, you know, Ja come in with that same level of professionalism, kind of knew that he would have it because of his history over the last few years as well. But overall, mentally, two thumbs up. Physically, both, you know, flashed on what we thought that they could do. I thought Ja really started to come on there at the end, just with the overall understanding of what we want him to do in the offense, but also the details that comes with doing multiple deals, whether it be in protection, whether it be in the run game or it be in the pass game.
You're talking about the start.
Yes.
And there is maybe a lot more on his plate. It could be than a lot of rookie running backs, I guess, with the receiving aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. He has to get a line. First thing for a receiver no one really talks about is there's multiple alignments on the field, whether it's -2, #2, all these different alignments per route, you know, and then per run. I mean, it's just a lot to it. So he does have a little bit more than a normal back would be coming in, but you know, thankfully he's done it before, and then also thankfully I've been in a lot of different roles and situations to be able to see splits and alignments a little bit different.
How do you support him, though? I mean, it's going to be a lot of pressure with how high he was drafted, you know, throughout this process. You said you've been in a lot of different stops, been around guys.
Yeah.
How do you support him not let him feel the pressure?
Oh, he can't ride the ebb and flow, right? You got to kind of stay calm. He's not going to perform as well as some people would think that he should, and he's not going to perform as low as some people think he's going to be. So we're going to try to support him in a way, and if we can just keep him involved academically in the football part of it, it's very hard to get, you know, out of line if you're doing what you're supposed to do on a daily basis. So we're going to take care of him, but we're also going to make it hard for him. I mean, it's tough, you know. Football is tough. The game is tough. You have to deal with some of the criticism that comes with it, but you also have to deal with some of the success, and he's going to have both this year.
I'm sorry, I thought you were taking a break.
Yeah.
From what he did at Alabama, where he led the team in rushing, led the team in receiving, what did that show about him, and how does that carry over to the pro level?
You know, I don't know the answer to the last question yet, but I will say that the skill set that he was able to develop under Coach Saban and the rest of those guys, what it does is they're in a professional style offense. You know, he's been around, you know, professional activity as far as it comes from coaching and then in the level of play. But being able to move a guy like that in college sometimes is really, really hard because of the hour limit that you have with them in getting them prepared and ready. So what that says is if we have more time with these guys, especially in the classroom, he's going to be able to evolve a little bit quicker than a lot of guys that would come out.
And just one other thing, too. He played a couple of years at Georgia Tech. Is there any value to players changing schools before they get to the NFL?
You know, that's not a question for me about the change in schools, because I don't want to upset the people at Georgia Tech, and I don't want to upset the people at Alabama. But the truth of it is that what you know about him is he can come into an environment pretty quickly, like he did at Alabama, learn quickly, and then go perform at a high level. So we're hoping that there is a transition kind of in the ability to come into a new environment and have success.
How beneficial was your experience maybe coaching wide receivers and then also working with a guy like Hines in Indianapolis to helping Jameer with the receiver components of his position?
Well, I'll say this. You bring up Hines and some of the other guys that we've worked with. You know, I've learned a lot more from players, to be honest, than coaches. And coaches have given me a lot of, you know, depth and foundation and base. Players can bring out details that you didn't know, you know, how to be more efficient. You know, Hines was probably one of the more efficient players that I've played with, not only in the pass game, but in the run game, and then understanding. So there's a lot of different ways that it'll help me. But I think the biggest deal is that these guys that I've coached, whether it been Plax or Hines or Randle or any of these guys that I've been around to coach, I've learned a tremendous amount from them. So some of these things that you can take from one player or another player and give it to a guy like Ja with a skill set, they'll be mad at me for saying this, but a skill set maybe a little bit higher than theirs will definitely be helpful for not only for me but for him as well.
We were actually talking about two different Hines, which is interesting there. Let's talk about Hines, your running back in Indianapolis.
Okay, well, you know, let's talk about Naheem. You know, all right. So with Naheem, you know, that is a person that I will say that academically, physically, really was able to come into the league and learn the position receiver and running back as well as anybody that I've been around. Protection-wise, he's sharp as attack. So there will be some comparisons about skill set and learning, but there is a different level of skill set between the two. They are different. There's things that Naheem does really, really well, and then there's things that, you know, we believe that Ja, if he continues to develop, that he'll do very well.
Speaking of that development, what do you consider a successful training camp for him for years?
Be physical. Just show physicality in every sense. You know, I know that this guy's skill set from a speed, quickness, mental, I want him to be physical. I want to, you know, if you're a tough team, you know, you don't get toughness from the big guys. The big guys are going to be tough. If you're a tough team, your small guys are tough.
Does he have that? I mean, you know, obviously because he's 199 pounds or whatever, maybe that's something that people wonder about.
Absolutely, he has it. You know, and he's got a little bit of a edge that people don't know because he's quiet at times. But once we get in the building and we get behind closed doors, he does have a different level of that. And then you can't play at the University of Alabama if you don't have a level of physicality to you. I'll just be honest. I think they practice as hard and physical with multiple fields going on at one time. Coach does a good job of keeping a drill going and coaching different drills, but also making guys understand that part of the competitive process is just not this, you know, pajamas and running around. It's actually putting pads on one another. So you go down there and play, and you play at a high level, and you get, you know, great marks from Coach Saban. That's a good start for physicality.
You know, my question is, what are some of the special skills that you saw in him come out? I mean, we see it out here. Maybe his route running ability for a running back seems.
Yeah, he has tremendous short area quickness, which will allow him to create space. But a lot of guys have short area quickness to create space, but he has short area quickness and long speed. So when you have that short area quickness and long speed, those 6, 7, 8, 9-yard plays can quickly turn into explosives. So that's one of the things that we've seen. What we've also seen from him is that in the run game, his vision is pretty spectacular right now. You know, when the bullets start flying, he's going to have to take it to another level. But we're really, really intrigued about where he is vision-wise, and then, you know, in the pass game, just being able to create some explosives for us.
Yeah, he said he wanted
more guys?
Yeah, he said he wanted to gain some weight. I said that last week when we were talking to him, wanted to put on a little bit of weight. So
Yeah, I haven't heard that. You know, I don't know anything about that. I don't have a negative or a positive to it. I trust our training staff 100%. Our nutritionists, our dietitians, they're great at what they do.
Just your assessment of asking a lot of questions about Jameer and David, just because of the expected roles, but you've got some interesting competition brewing for those 3rd and 4th spots with Jamar, Craig, Mo, and even Greg. So I'm just curious what you've seen from that group, you know, further down the depth chart, what they've shown you.
Solid guys. Like, you know, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult because Jamar, Craig, Mo, you know, all of these guys, they really have done what we've asked them to do. And, you know, you're looking for, you know, the things that you can improve in these guys, and all of them have those things to be able to improve. But in that area, it's just going to be a slugfest. That's what camp is about.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you, guys.
What is he bringing to you? How's he helping you?
Well, a lot of things. Just I would say the two major things, just he understands the game from that standpoint. So I could be talking about a certain route as it relates to the way we need to run it, what it needs to look like, and I'll explain it. And other guys, they'd be like, well, why we can't do it like this? And before I even get it out, Marvin's kind of in the meeting like, well, this is what coach is trying to get you to understand, blah, blah, blah. So he's helps a ton in the room just because he's been in it, he's played in it, and it certainly helps the young guys.
How do you think he'll help his team on the field?
Well, I always think from he's the guy who makes the big boy catches, so to speak. He can do the dirty stuff in the trenches, red zone guy for sure. So that's why I see him in a lot, just making those dirty, grimy catches that'll help us out. That we got a couple guys that can do it, but he is one of the guys that for sure can show up and make those plays for us. So glad we got him, and he's been a delight. So it's been great.
Can you make that one with LeBron James a couple years now?
Yeah.
Just talk about him, man.
Not a full, not a couple years yet. Not a couple years yet, but yeah.
But just talk about how you been trying to keep him as far as motivated and focused as well to stay active throughout the stretch, stay engaged.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to motivate him much when it comes to ball. Like he loves the game and wants to get better and works at it. So it's but the encouragement part, with all that's going on, the injury and all that type of stuff. And obviously now with the suspension, it's just, hey, you keep doing what you're doing, stay at it in terms of working hard. Don't let this is just another stumbling block. But again, you'll come out strong on the other side. So those type things, just encouraging from that standpoint. And he gets it, he understands it, and it'll certainly it'd be well for him once we do get him back and get going as it relates to into the preseason and going into the season.
Can you relate from any personal experiences? I know we talk a lot about the staff having NFL experiences, but
Yeah.
what he's going through as far as even people questioning his character, all type of things like that. Can you draw from any personal experience to help him through this at all?
Well, just from the character the whole character deal, it's like, man, you got to be who you're gonna be. Like you got to really silence the noise of the media people for sure, because you spit the wrong way, you're gonna write about it. They're gonna write about it, but that's just part of it. And he understands that, and he's getting better at that. Like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like, just trust us, lean on us, for some of that understanding and stuff like that. And it's helping him. So he's coming along, and I'm glad that he's coming along. He's getting better, because we're gonna need him. That's how it is. 17 game season. You need every guy. Well, from a field standpoint, just understanding the game. Like last year, it was a lot of mental reps, getting prepared, for when he did return. And now he actually get those reps. And now he's running those routes, and now he can figure out, okay, this is what coach was talking about. Well, we can't give an extra move at the top of this route because of the timing. Those things that he's trying to get, and he's getting them, better and better as we go. So those are really the differences. As it relates to on the field, but he's starting to see it, see it more and more, which is good.
His ability to separate is remarkable. You can see it consistently.
Yeah.
The hands seem a little inconsistent at this
Yeah.
stage. What are you doing to kind of maybe clean up that?
Well,
Maybe lacking on that in his game.
catching is catching, man. You got to work on catching. So we do it after practice, do it before practice, and it's really at the end of the day, it's the intent of it. Like, how am I catching it? And in certain situations. So that's what it comes down to. And it's going to look like that a little bit just because working on, a couple of different things to help him from that standpoint. But he knows how to catch the ball. It's just like, all right, well, not that you got to focus more here, but this needs to be caught and tucked this way, as it relates to catching it and tucking it away, from the defender. The defender's on your right. What arm do you put it in, vice versa, and all that type stuff. So been working on it, like I said, before and after practice. And then camp, when we start training camp, we certainly have some other things that help all our guys out. And the things we don't do them just for one guy. It's like, man, we got these drills that I know work, and they've been helping our guys out for sure.
It looked like in minicamp last week, he really started coming on day 2 and day 3. Is that being accurate thing to say?
It's accurate. It's just a matter of him being just on the field over and over again. Like, again, that's part of having that off season, and that's why you always want, a young guy to have an off season to be able to get ready, for the season. So it'll be good. Training camp's coming up. Again, another opportunity on the field, being with the quarterbacks, hearing the calls, all those different things that need to take place over and over again. And you see he's getting it. You just got to continue to work at it.
You got a rookie in the room. We haven't seen a whole lot
Yeah.
What have you seen from Green?
I've seen a lot of things. He can stretch the field. That's one of the big things we see just in terms of him getting off the ball and going. We feel like he can catch it pretty cleanly, and he can run some routes. He shows up, run some routes that okay, all right, I didn't quite see that in the college thing, or you only saw it a little bit, and now you're starting to see it here. And again, the injury in between, kind of slowed him down, but you still see like, okay, all right, we know what we got, good player to get, especially what we got him to be able to help us out this year.
Going on around. I mean, we keep talking about where can he get better.
Yeah.
Where can he get better? What did you put as his focuses this offseason? What did he do with the yak last year?
Yep. So a lot of it for him is the yak, is, again reading those coverages in terms of like over and over again, like it can't. And he's got so much better than last year, and you saw that jump. So now it's like, all right, I kind of got it down, and how can I perfect it, over and over again as it relates to where I need to be, when I need to be there. And that's working back and forth with golf and knowing the coverages and seeing it. So that's one of the things we talked about him in terms of him working on. And then just the other big thing he's got so much. I don't know how to, like, he can get in and out of cuts so easily. Like, he doesn't have to give all extra stuff because he can just get out of it so fast. So I just want to just run that smooth route. Like, you don't have to get any extra at the top of it. Just pop, come on out of it. And he's been doing it in OTAs. So that's been a growth for him. So no extra movement. Just get in the route, come out of it, because he gets in and out of it so fast.
He's not your guy, but what's your evaluation as the receivers coach of Gibbs and what he can do for this offense?
Well, he can catch it, and he can run. Yeah, so that's what you start with. But he's gonna help us. He's gonna help us. Just a matter of again, him getting stuff down, and now he's outside instead of running routes from the backfield. He's a guy that we can literally put outside and run those routes from the outside. So it's like, all right, his alignment when he's out there, those little things we got to work on with him. But he's gonna help us for sure.
Is there coaching overlap there? Or
No question. No question. Whether he's in my room for a little bit, or I go down to Scottie's room, or he's on the field and I'm coaching my guys, or he's up, now he's running the route and he's outside. Okay, let me talk to him about this. And Scottie, you got him. Okay, so all right, cool. All right, so that's how we work, it's because you got to, because all the same stuff, really.
Rod didn't hide the fact that he wanted to be a little bit more involved in the vertical passing game this year. Just how much do you, I guess, I'm gonna
Oh, you called him Rod, too. Okay. You said Rod. I thought you said Rod. I was like, our president wants to be involved in the... I was trying to figure that out. I didn't really know where you're going.
For a guy that did have 100 catches, 1,000 yards,
Yeah.
whatever, to not be content in how much you love
I love that. That's the nature of a wide receiver. Like, give me the ball. Like, from that standpoint. But that, to his point, like, that's good. Like, I love to see him want more, want to be put in different spots, and certainly we'll do that, and we have to, just from what we did last year, and now how do we improve on that? Because they sitting at the sticks, or they're sitting on those shorter routes. Now we can go over the top with them. So, and some of that has showed up in these OTAs that we've had. So it's just a matter of getting it done, getting to work, working at it, and getting it dialed up in the game.
Seems like one of the most unheralded guys in your room is Josh. Been just a solid guy in and out. How important is he to what you guys do, and how important will he be maybe in those first 6 games without J-Mo?
First 6 games with J-Mo, without J-Mo, that cat is important. We need Josh. I need all of them. Like I always tell my guys, like I need everybody need to be ready to go, because week to week you don't know. That's the deal. So you prepare in OTAs, you prepare in training camp, and I just can't put you in one spot. I need you to know all these different spots. So if somebody goes down, now it's not, okay, we can only have you here, not this other person. No, everybody got to know the different spot, know the concept of it. And he's been doing that. Like, he has been solid, and it's good. He had the little calf thing early on, which didn't take much. He was back in it. So he's doing well. He's definitely going to continue to help us. Love it. Him and Leroy. Well, Khalif Raymond, sorry.
He's a local guy. I know you're not making decisions, but Drummond was a tryout guy
Yeah.
that got signed. So what did he show in that rookie minicamp, and what has he shown since that has you excited about maybe some?
Well, he's super smart. Like, he's a guy that, like, man, he's picking up the offense pretty quickly. And that's like all the different spots. So understanding the concept, why the intent of the play, why we're doing what we're doing. So that's been a big deal for him. and he catches the ball cleanly, run deep, run pretty good routes, and he grabs the grass, man. When he runs routes, like he can grasp, it's like he's covering grass. It's like, man, this dude is covering some ground. So you could see, like, as soon as we came out of that tryout, I was like, man, all right, let's chalk him up, sign him up, because he's got something. So, and he's willing to work, hard worker. Don't have any problems with him. Like I said, he learns it. So those are great, good positive. Like, you can come in and learn all this stuff, and you got some wiggle. You can play outside, play inside. So it brings a good bit to the table. Well, all right.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Let's just talk about first impressions of the room this spring. You obviously added some veteran guys. Get big feedback. That's got to be a big boost. Just where you're at, comfort level with the room.
I mean, for the spring, I thought we had a pretty solid spring. I would say we were focused. The guys came in, they were in shape, and it was a fun spring. You know, it's really call it year two because under Coach Johnson with the offense. So you know, the knowledge of it, they weren't just learning everything and having to know everything. They kind of had understanding of it. Now it was just detailing what they already knew and doing that. So the spring went well. Guys were in tune, and now they're already out of here. It's fast, you know. So
You think of year two and the comfort level. You think of quarterbacks and receivers and that kind of stuff. You know, knowing the offense and everything else. But how important is that? You alluded to the offensive line too, and how much bigger of a jump can you take now, like getting into the nitty gritty of the scheme and not just having to learn it?
yeah, I mean, the more you can detail it and understand it, you know, you hear it, you can visualize the play, and then all the problems that might allude to that play or issues that could come up because things change on looks, that you can play faster, and communication and stuff like that come out of the huddle. It's not just the quarterbacks and receivers. I mean, there's a lot detailed. They all need to know it, all of that. And, you know, in a huddle call, O-line is just hearing what they need to hear. Receivers are trying to hear what they need to hear, and quarterbacks need to understand it all, you know, Jarrett and those guys. So I think everybody played a little faster this spring, and then I would say, you know, Coach Johnson pushed them too a little bit too on some stuff, you know, just to see where they were at.
You've been with Taylor Decker for a while now, and I'm just curious, like, we know who Taylor is and what he does in the field, but how have you seen him grown? It just kind of seems like he's kind of ascended as kind of like one of the voices and heartbeats of this locker room every time we talk to him.
I think each year you play the game, a lot of times your confidence level continues to grow, and your confidence in yourself, and then, you know, not just yourself, the leadership around you and what you bring to the table, because guys look up to you, and you realize that. And I think he's, you know, last year he played at a very high level, and we're hoping he can continue doing that this year. And what I saw in the spring, he's in great shape mentally, physically, and we're excited where it's going to be. I mean, before they just left out of here, they got about a month, and they'll be right back, and we'll be really into it. So he's excited. I'm excited to see what he does.
You guys were one of the best offensive lines in football last year. Can you be even better with Big B now back and some of the other guys that you added?
There's a lot to improve on. You know, these guys. You know, we weren't perfect, and they know it. There's a lot we can clean up on. You know, we can be pretty good. We know we can be pretty good, but there's a lot. We got to go out there and prove it and earn it.
Exactly, the exciting part for you, knowing that you guys were so good, at least production-wise, and some of the numbers. But when you watch the tape, you sort of like, oh, do this better and this better, and there's a mistake, and this run could have gone for 20.
That's the thing. As a coach, you're always like, here's the negatives, and you got to remind you to show the positives. But because you always look at, man, this could have been. But you know, I told those guys I got to go out and perform, and you know, you write the story what they want, you want written. So if you go out and perform poorly, you're going to get written poorly. If you go out there and perform how you're supposed to, your expectations, hopefully they're writing about all the skill guys and not you guys. So that's good to go.
As a coach, would you mind stepping up approach your room any differently with the amount of new guys that are in your room?
I'm sorry?
Do you have to approach how you coach your room any differently with the amount of new dads along the offensive line?
It is a pretty fertile room right now. I'm kind of glad my wife and I can't have any more. We got 5, so we're good. It's fun to see, you know, right now in the off season, it's like, hey, you're stepping up, doing a lot more chores or taking care of the baby. Don't call it babysitting. I've gotten in trouble doing that. You know, as a dad, it's your son or your daughter. So it's fun to see. The priorities change a little bit for them. It's not the video games anymore if they're not outside of football, but I tell them take a lot more responsibility now because the wives are going to take a lot more of that burden off of them during the season, give them that rest time. And, they've seemed to have a good in place. They know what's going on, like a routine. It's good.
I want to ask about Max Percher. Just what have you seen out of him? What's his personality like?
He's been good. It's not natural to him all the way yet. It's been a couple years, I know, with the Rams and everything else, but he's learning a lot. We're pushing him. We're giving him some reps in here, and it's been fun around the guys too, and just learning from him and knowing where he's coming from. And I'm excited to see what he's able to do. And for us, O-line play is going to be when the pads really come on and see how you play when it's real action.
What's the advantage to being around the room that he is while he's also trying to grow into himself?
I think he can learn because we have all different stages of expertise in there and development. You got somebody like Decker, year 8, Panay's, going on year 3, to the rookies that he came in here with that we brought in now. So, you got all stages. You're a teacher, so you got to figure out how you're going to teach all these guys and what he gets to see. He gets to see somebody do it at a very high level, and he's getting to see guys that don't know or learning the culture about Detroit. So he's been all years, and learning from everybody, and he asks a lot of questions what you do, and he can visually learn and mentally learn.
What's one thing you like from Colby off the start? Maybe one thing you'd like to see them maybe take another step back once the pads come on in training camp?
It's been nice. It's a learning curve for anybody that's coming from college. Not only coming from, not D1 level, but just going from tackle to going inside. It's a different play style. You're used to only working with a guard normally, especially when it comes to stunts. Switching stunts are the biggest things for guys that go from tackle to guard. It's just that internal. Now you got to switch it with both sides. And, he's picked up the system pretty well. He's had some learning, pains here and there, but he's coachable. He'll do things, and that's all I ask, to be coachable, and he's going to work hard. And like I said, pads are going to separate everybody, and we'll see when those come on. But what we've seen so far, it's been good.
You see him as a guy that game day, you like versatility. Is he somebody down the line you think in an emergency can be outside as well?
I told him don't even think about going out there yet, but if we need to, we'll see. I want him to get settled in, try to get his feet wet, and just learn that position, because when you're a guy that's playing tackle and you go in there, there's a little bit difference, and it's really more in the pass game. Run game, when you're running off the ball, working in combinations, you've done that with tight ends. It's really the stunts. It's the thing, I'm passing this. There's a twist game. Plus, we got the linebacker. How do you communicate in there? You're bumping shoulders on both sides. That's the biggest growth, I think, in most guards. Going from tackle to guard that's where the play's a little different. It happens faster, where when you're out on that island, everything's a little bit slower happening, and it's normally an individual battle. You know what? It's fun. I already know his personality. The guys like Decker and Frank know him. Some of our guys have met him through weddings, all that. But he's good. He brings a form of leadership, a veteran presence, understands the game. He can see big picture. It's not like you're teaching him how to play this game or what to look at. And he's working like he would be a young guy here, and that's what's been great about him on the field. And he's open to change too. There's things that I want him to do a little different, and he's done throughout his career. And it's the first time I've been in charge of the room to coach him on certain technique, and he's been open-minded, which is good, and he's been great for the room.
How much do you admire Frank and what he goes through? Obviously, with the toe injury, and just his toughness overall to be able to battle through that and then be available.
He's been great in the room. I joke with him not taking all the reps out here, but he could be tougher on that end. But he's good. What he goes through, I admire him. I mean, the guys in his room. He's getting to where he needs to be. Mentally strong. He's there for the guys. That's what's great about him now. He's becoming more of a vocal leader than just, here, I'm going to do it by example. He's starting to speak up more, and that's just different. Everybody's different, but he's grown in that area, and he can teach on the field now. Like, he teaches guys, and he's becoming a really good teacher out there for everybody, even the young guys. And he's motivated, and so I told him to get used to, not ever being the same, and that's his mindset. And it takes a mindset to do that stuff for everybody. So I'm excited for him. Just talked with him this morning. He's back in Minnesota, already fishing or training. Who knows what he's doing? But I know he always comes back ready to go.
How much does it hamper his production? And if it does, how does he compensate for it?
Well, when you're talented like him, I mean, it's hard to see it. I can see some of it, but he's going to be fine. It's all in the mind now. So he's good. He plays at a very high level, and I don't know where it will be. He doesn't know where it will be. It might never be the same. That's fine, but he can still be very productive with what he does. I would still say he's one of the top guys in the league, even with being hampered a little bit. But he looks good. I mean, this year he looks great. When he does get an opportunity to go, it doesn't hinder him, and he's doing well.
All right, couple more guys.
When he was playing through that last year, did you talk about it, or is it almost like you didn't go and bring it up?
It wasn't even worth bringing up. We knew what he was going through, and that's where the toughness. I don't know. Most guys I think would fold. Truly fold, and he was like, he just fought through it. So he's tough. He's tough mentally and physically, and we'll see where it goes. We're in great shape right now. So when that bridge comes, it's on him, and he's ready to go. They've done a nice job here with the staff getting them ready, and we'll see come. I know he can't wait for training camp. So because when he's really out there doing it.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.